Hello and welcome to News Now. I'm your host, Taylor Inman. We're going over the week's biggest headlines for Northwest Montana. Flathead Lake may fall as much as 3 feet below full pool by August. Last week, Energy Keepers predicted that the lake would reach a maximum level of 2,892.3 feet by mid-June, but the most recent forecast drops that estimate to 2,891.9 feet. The water level is expected to continue to decline by 2,891 feet by July 4th and to 2,890 feet by August. Full pool is typically 2,983 feet between June 15th and September 15th. A June 10th press release from Energy Keepers Incorporated, the entity that manages the SKQ Dam at the southern end of Flathead Lake, states that unseasonably warm and dry conditions continue to significantly decrease water supply in the Flathead River Basin, and spring runoff is quickly receding, bringing river flows to extremely low levels. April and May saw precipitation levels at about 70% of historic norms, and June is expected to be far drier. Snowpack across the state has also dwindled as late spring temperatures soar. In the Flathead Basin, snowpack was a mere 43% of average on June 9th. That's down from last week's measurements, which showed snowpack at 54% of average. Low snowpack and little rain equate to limited stream flow in the coming months. Both the middle and north forks of the Flathead River are currently at half of normal flow, according to the United States Geological Survey. Stream flow on the south fork of the Flathead River is currently 53% of normal, contributing to a below-average water level in the Hungry Horse Reservoir. The reservoir is currently at 3,550.4 feet, about 1 foot below the 10-year average for early June. Both the SKQ and the Hungry Horse dams are managed to meet varying obligations, including energy production, habitat for endangered species, and flood risk management. Energy Keepers successfully requested a flood risk management deviation in mid-March from the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. The approval allowed Energy Keepers to keep more water in the lake during the spring. Energy Keepers stated that Flathead Lake reached the maximum permissible water level on May 26, and that the SKQ Dam continues to maintain minimum flows. While the projected water level may limit the use of some private docks, public boat ramps are expected to remain fully accessible during the summer. Energy Keepers will continue to provide forecasts through June and July at energykeepersinc.com/flathead-lake-data. A majority of Montana Supreme Court justices ruled Monday that a trio of abortion restrictions passed by Republican lawmakers in 2021 were unconstitutional, concluding a years-long legal challenge brought by healthcare providers and reproductive rights supporters. If allowed to take effect, the bills would have curtailed abortions after 20 weeks, added regulations to medication abortions, and required providers to offer patients the chance to view an ultrasound and listen to a fetal heart tone before filling out a state-written form about their decision. Planned Parenthood of Montana sued to block the legislation from taking effect soon after Governor Greg Gianforte signed the bills into law. They have been sidelined in court since 2021. 6 justices on the court agreed with a state district court ruling from 2024, finding that the laws impermissibly infringed on Montana's constitutional right to privacy. Justice Jim Rice was the lone dissenting voice on the court, writing in his own 30-page conclusion that Montana's foundational abortion rights ruling deserved to be relegated to the dustbin of history, but stopping short of calling for it to be overturned on legal grounds. The Monday ruling considered the legal issues based on the current version of the Montana Constitution, noting that the additional abortion right protections approved by voters in 2024 through Constitutional Initiative 128 is not slated to take effect until July 1st. State attorneys had appealed the lower court's ruling to the Montana Supreme Court and presented their arguments prior to the swearing in of the 2 newest members of the court, Chief Justice Corey Swanson and Justice Catherine Bittigary. 2 district court judges, Shane Vannetta of Missoula and Amy Eddy of Kalispell, were appointed to fill the places of now retired Chief Justice Mike McGrath and former Justice Dirk Sandifer. In the majority opinion, penned by Justice Beth Baker, the court opined that protections for procreative autonomy, including pre-viability abortions, are included within the state's right to privacy, which the justices said was construed broadly by delegates during the state's 1972 Constitutional Convention. The ruling reaffirmed the court's cornerstone 1999 ruling, Armstrong v. the State, which originally protected the right to terminate a pre-viability pregnancy in Montana. In doing so, the court rejected arguments from the state attorneys that the scope of the Armstrong ruling should be narrowed, particularly as it pertains to the viability standard. The court defended the fact that Armstrong did not define viability by the gestational age of a fetus, reiterating that viability is a medical determination that should be made on a case-by-case basis. By that standard, the Montana ruling reasoned that the state could not enforce the legislature's 20-week restriction. Sparring with Rice's dissent, the majority of justices also maintained the viability standard correctly balanced the rights of a fetus and a pregnant person. Acknowledging that the right to privacy is not absolute, the ruling laid out an established legal test from past precedent for finding whether a restrictive abortion law is constitutional. Among other factors, the court said the state had failed to demonstrate that the laws at issue would protect pregnant patients from a bona fide health risk. In his Monday dissent, Rice criticized the Armstrong decision for expanding the interpretation of the right to privacy far beyond what he said Montana's Constitutional Convention delegates and voters intended. But noting the importance of consistent legal precedents, Rice did not describe a legal imperative to overturn Armstrong. Rather, he said courts should begin to recognize the state's interest in protecting human life as compelling. On those grounds, Rice argued that the challenged bill should not be struck down as entirely unconstitutional. Using the example of House Bill 171, which required waiting periods, Rice said that mandating a period of reflection before proceeding with a life-altering decision should not be reasonably deemed as infringement on a woman's rights, adding that the court should be deferential to the legislature's effort to encourage and ensure careful decision-making. In a Monday afternoon statement, President and CEO of Planned Parenthood of Montana, Martha Fuller, hailed the court's ruling as a win for preserving abortion access. In a statement from a spokesperson Monday night, Jean Forte described the ruling as an attack on common-sense measures to protect the life, health, and welfare of mothers and their babies, and levied criticism against the court's majority in the Armstrong ruling. The court decision Monday noted that Montana's privacy right and its related protections for abortion access had not been undermined by the U.S. Supreme Court's decision to overturn Roe, which stemmed from the federal Constitution. Glacier National Park officials killed a black bear last week after the animal tried to enter vehicles and buildings near West Glacier. Montana Fish, Wildlife, and Parks relocated the bear from Kalispell to Puzzle Creek south of Marias Pass in 2022. While the relocation initially appeared successful, officials said they noticed the bear escalating efforts to obtain human food at the beginning of June. The animal was euthanized on June 5th. A June 10th press release issued by the park described the 4-year-old female black bear as aggressive and food conditioned. In a separate incident on June 7th, going to the Sun Road was temporarily closed after a female black bear and a young cub managed to snag a snack from a visitor's unattended backpack. Officials said in the press release that wildlife rangers are attempting to discourage the bear's bad behavior. If unsuccessful, the bears may have to be relocated or euthanized per the park's bear management guidelines. About 600 black bears and 300 grizzlies roam the forest and mountains of Glacier National Park. Violent encounters are rare, and the park has recorded 7 attacks in the past 25 years, none of them fatal. But the proximity of bears and park visitors remains a concern. In recent years, officials have euthanized several black bears and 1 female grizzly bear due to concerns about food conditioning. As the park ramps up for the summer season, visitors are reminded to take appropriate precautions when recreating in bear country. Keep campsites clean and never leave unsecured food or garbage unattended. In the case of a bear sighting, maintain a safe distance of at least 100 yards. If the animal shows sign of agitation, leave the area by backing away slowly, and report all bear sightings to park rangers. Thanks for joining us. News Now is a podcast from the Daily Interlake. We're proud to be the largest independent newsroom in Montana and the longest continuously published newspaper in the region. Today's stories were written by Daily Interlake reporter Haley Smalley and Montana Free Press reporter Mara Silvers. If you haven't already, subscribe to our YouTube channel to never miss an episode of the pod. Everybody stay safe and have a great week. Thanks to our sponsor, Lauren's Auto Repair at 1309 U.S. Highway 2 in Kalispell. Most consistently rated 5-star shop serving the Kalispell area. Visit laurensauto.com.